What's up, boxing people? So it's that time that we look at the fights that garnered my attention this weekend. So I try to pick like 5 different fights. Unfortunately, this week I only got 4. So we're going to talk about those 4 fights, and then the one thing that I saw happening on X that I found kind of interesting, but I definitely want to talk about it just a little bit. But the first thing we're going to get into is Zurdo. So Gilberto Ramirez, he fought Joe Smith Jr. on the Golden Boy card. And I gotta say that Zurdo, that's probably the best I've seen Zurdo look in a while. And I don't know if it's the weight or what, but man, he was moving well. He was boxing fantastic. It was almost like he saw what Bivol did against Joe Smith and tried to emulate that exact strategy. And he did it almost to a T. But he also had some of those same moments that Bivol had in the fight with Joe Smith, because we know how Joe Smith Jr. is a clubbing, thudding puncher, right? So if he hits you, it's gonna hurt. But he is not. He has like concrete feet. So he's not a very good mover, and Zurdo used that to his advantage. He made sure he didn't stay in one spot for too long, moved out of the way. He liked to throw the hook off of that just to help get him out of I can't even talk, y'all. Tired too. To help get him out of trouble. So he was able to do that. So I thought Zurdo looked very good, very sharp, at least for probably the first 7 rounds. And another interesting fact was they wanted it 12 rounds. It was still a WBA title eliminator, but usually you see those as 12 rounders. This was a 10 rounder. And then apparently Joe Smith Jr. were the ones that didn't want it to be 12. And I wonder if that was a money issue, about the contract, but I don't want to get into that. It was a 10 rounder. It was a WBA eliminator. So you could be seeing Gilberto Ramirez in a title fight sooner rather than later. And I wouldn't mind it because he looked really good. And apparently this was at a catch weight, so it really wasn't at like the cruiserweight limit. But I don't see why Zurdo would have any issues fighting at the cruiserweight limit. He guy's huge. He's huge. But I think we see he is not the biggest puncher. We saw, I know Joe Smith Jr. was knocked out by one of the biggest punchers that we know. He's knocking out everybody in Artur Beterbiev. But we're still talking about Gilberto Ramirez, who is a solid puncher. Not a knockout artist, I would say, but he is a solid puncher. Anybody that big hitting you is going to hurt. But the way he was smiling at times, Joe Smith Jr. in there, I was like, man, how's Zurdo going to be when he goes against maybe even a better boxer and puncher at that weight? Like, I'm trying to think of a cruiserweight that would give him trouble, and you don't have to go far to find one. Well, he escaped this one. I say escaped, and he looked fantastic beating Joe Smith Jr. You imagine him going against a Jai Opetaia, who's the Ring Magazine cruiserweight champ? You imagine him against a Jai Opetaia? But in fairness to Zurdo, I think that would be probably the only fighter that's a champ right now that he would lose to. I think he would beat any other cruiserweight right now. Any other cruiserweight champion. But Jai Opetaia, he looks like a different animal at cruiserweight. But I would love to see that fight. And that would be a great fight for Jai Opetaia to get in America. So he fought in the UK to come to America and fight Gilberto Ramirez. That introduces him to another audience. It'll be a big fight for Gilberto Ramirez. But first things first, Ramirez needs to get that WBA strap. So that can draw Jai Opetaia's interest, and then we'll see where we go from there. But to start it off, it was just a great performance by Gilberto Ramirez, and we'll see where he goes from here. But there's plenty of options because he's a popular guy. He can bring him out as well. So let's see what happens. Something else that is definitely worthy of talking about is Leigh Wood versus Josh Warrington for the WBA title. So that was Leigh Wood. I'm not going to say I saw somebody put on X, they said Leigh Wood is box office. Now, I wouldn't say, from me being in America, I'm not gonna say Leigh Wood is box office, but Leigh Wood is like must see, man. He's must see. And I know that sounds crazy. It's just because every fight is like a Rocky movie. This is like a straight up Rocky movie, man. The man's getting pummeled. You start hearing that background music in the background. It looks like he's gonna get taken out. And then next thing you know, out of nowhere, boom! Mick Collin took him out in the 12th round, dramatic fashion. Zukan took him out in the 12th round, dramatic fashion. He was winning that fight, but he took him out in the 12th round. He didn't just settle for a UD. Took him out in the 12th round. And then this Josh Warrington fight. Josh Warrington was ahead. When I was watching the fight, I could only give Leigh Wood the second round. If you wanted to give him the first, okay. But when he switched southpaw in the second round, he did a good job against Josh Warrington. But then after that, Josh Warrington's pressure, it seemed like it was getting to him. And the punch resistance did not look very good with Leigh Wood. Anytime he was hit, he just looked a little off. A little worrying, especially, I'm thinking this is his last one at featherweight, but we're going to get into that. And then in the 7th round, he took that small step back as Warrington was coming forward and back, caught him with the right hook. And then what I like, look at the accuracy. And it's very similar when he caught McCollin. When Leigh Wood has somebody hurt, look at the accuracy of his punches that he was landing. Granted, of course, the head movement is not really going to be there. And Josh Warrington is known that he's a high guard guy. But when he caught him with that right hand and then the successive left and right that come after that, they were all on target. And that just finished him right there, especially that right hook at the end. That just sent him to the canvas and he crumbled. And there was some question because of the way the fight ended. Josh Warrington got up, turns to his corner, and then when he's going to his corner, he's out of sorts, right? He's all jumbled up there. And so the round was over. So and you see his corner standing up. Warrington's probably thinking that it's over. But the referee is behind him going 7, 8, and he's not turning around. So therefore, fight's over. Ref waves it off. I'm not mad at that because Warrington feels like he was robbed, but look at his reaction. He couldn't even respond. When you cannot respond to the referee's orders, then that's it for you. And all these fighters know you cannot be not facing the referee. They know you need to face the referee. You got to be like, yeah, I'm good. How many fighters do we see that? No, I'm good. I can continue. But Josh Warrington turned his back because he was out of sorts. Therefore, fight's off. I'm not mad. I think it was a good decision. I think it was a good stoppage. Leigh Wood pulled it out the bag again. Man, respect to Leigh Wood. He's now going to move up to super feather. So we're going to talk about what's next. What's next for Leigh Wood? So at super feather, I'm going to rewind that a second. So at featherweight, he's going to drop the belt. He's a WBA champ. He's going to drop the belt. And we already know, we heard Hearn talk about it, who's going to be next.
It's no longer featherweight. 100% Leigh Wood will vacate the belt on Monday. It will then be Komatov against Ray Ford, our American superstar for the title, which is a tremendous fight.
It's going to be Raymond Ford versus Otabek Komatov. And if you haven't seen, I did a video probably months ago, and it was talking about the featherweight division, and Komatov is coming. I think that was the name of it. Look at it. I'm going to try to put a link to it. I think it'll be up here. Yeah. So look up here where my finger is. And if you want to check that video out, check that out. Because Komatov is a heck of a fighter. And that is do not miss that fight, y'all. When that fight happens, if you have not heard of Komatov, go look him up. He can fight. And him against Ray Ford is going to be one to watch. If you love boxing and you're on this channel right now watching this, you got to watch that one, man. That's going to be a really good fight. I'm still leaning Ford right now because I think Ford he's getting better and better with Coach Anthony. And he's sharp, man. He's just so sharp. It's like he's getting faster. A man's getting faster, and he's definitely getting sharper. And his IQ is going up, and you can see it. But either way, back to Leigh Wood. So with Leigh Wood dropping the belt at 126, so he's going to move up to 130, and they're talking about a Joe Cordina fight. I'm not sure how that Joe Cordina fight is going to come off because Joe Cordina is fighting on November 4th against a former Ray Ford opponent in Edward Vasquez. So that'll be interesting, even though it's at a higher weight. That should be an interesting fight. But I still expect Cordina to win. But is Cordina going to want to fight Leigh Wood at City Ground in Nottingham? I don't think so. So who are you going to get Leigh Wood to fight? It's going to either be a Josh Warrington rematch that's just going to be in Nottingham at the City Ground, or if you can somehow convince Navarrete to come over there to unify. And I don't think that's going to happen because I really think with Navarrete on the Shakur undercard, he's probably going to move up and face Shakur next. And that's in-house with Top Rank. So I think, and that's a better move for Navarrete, I feel like, unless somehow they can just bring the bag and say, yeah, come on over here, and defend your belt and risk losing a controversial decision to Leigh Wood. But if you think you can knock him out, and if you've seen these previous fights, Navarrete probably thinks he can knock him out. That would be an interesting fight. But I definitely don't think that's going to happen. I think Navarrete will take on Shakur Stevenson if everything goes to plan. But I'm very interested on what's next for Leigh Wood. But he pulled it out the bag against Josh Warrington. Respect to Leigh Wood. Josh Warrington still got it, man. Josh Warrington can still scrap. I still want to see Josh Warrington. I hope he doesn't hang it up. He deserves other opportunities. So we'll see what's coming next for him. But this one's about Leigh Wood, and on to the next. Terry Harper went against Cecilia Braekhus. It was for a vacant belt in addition to Terry Harper's WBA belt. But things did not quite go to plan. It ended up being a majority draw. It was a 97-93 and then 95-95. It was 97-93 Harper, then 95-95, 95-95. And the fight was just, I really want Terry Harper to move down. That's what I'm going to focus on. I'm not even going to focus on that fight. It wasn't the greatest fight to watch. Terry Harper has not looked that great to me in these last couple fights. And I really think it's time. This is not her weight. 154 is not her weight. And even she said it after the fight. It's time for her to go. It might be time for her to go down, but she's going to talk to her team and see what she wants to do next. I think it was great. She won a title at 154. Those girls are big, man. Those girls are big. It's time for her to move down. She just seems a little sluggish at that weight for some reason. She doesn't look like the same Harper, and you wouldn't expect to at 130, especially after what happened with Baumgardner. But still, I expect Harper to be a little better, a little sharper than I've seen her these past two fights. So I would like to see her go down 147. I would like to see Cecilia Braekhus, who looked good. She looked better than she did that other fight when she had on the Golden Boy card. She actually looked better in this fight. So I like her. I hope she stays at 154 and gets that title opportunity for that vacant WBO. I think that's deserved after that performance. So hopefully we see that for Cecilia Braekhus next. I do not want to see a rematch of Braekhus Harper. I want to see Harper go down to 147. I want to see Braekhus stay at 154, and both of them get title shots in the near future, whether it's Harper going down with the WBA and still going that route, or maybe, I know Hearn was talking about maybe the Sandy Ryan against Jessica McCaskill winner. She could face that. That's still a good fight. Plenty of good fights at 147. Michaela Mayer's going to be at 147. We know Harper and Mayer were kind of linked up at 130, so for them to meet at 147, that would be a good fight. So there's plenty of good fights for her, but I just think it's time for her to move down. It's time for you to move down, Harper. If you ever watch this, move down, girl. Move down. It's time. Do what's best for your career. You still got plenty of years left. She wants to make the big money, so moving down is best suited for her. But it was a solid performance by Harper, but a good performance by Braekhus, and there you get the draw. Hearns was saying it was a robbery. I don't know about a robbery. I thought Harper maybe eked it out. I thought she did eke it out, honestly, 96-94 range. I didn't score the fight, so I just watched it and just watching round by round. That's the way it looked to me, but it was extremely close fight, and it was a messy fight, a little bit of a messy fight. But on to the next, y'all. On to the next. We'll see what both of those fighters do. And Cecilia Braekhus, you're a legend, and you brought it. I thought you might have been done after that Golden Boy. I was like, I don't know how she's gonna be, but you look great at 154, and I wish you nothing but the best. Back to Melikuziev stops Alantez Fox, and he actually utilized his name. His name was appropriate. His nickname, the Bully. He bullied Alantez Fox, and I know that they were talking about, it's Canelo. He has his eyes on Canelo. Slow down. No. You see how wide Melikuziev's shots are? Do you notice how wide his shots are? Man, if Canelo, he's great at counterpunches. Canelo's hands are fast. I think that's maybe an underrated thing, how fast Canelo's hands can be, especially when he's healthy. Oh my goodness. If he hits Melikuziev in between those shots, we saw what happened with Gabe Rosado, that's lights out. That's lights out for Melikuziev. He still needs some time. He still needs some work. I would like to see him against the Caleb Plants of the world before he even thinks of going to that level when he's talking about Canelo. But it's talk. You got to put your name in the conversation. So I know exactly what he's doing. But he just walked Alantez Fox down. He hurt him numerous times. And you could see he was a little hesitant. The ghost of Gabe Rosado is still living in Melikuziev's head. Because when he hurt, I think it was the first round, when he hurt Fox, and he stepped up to him and it's like the ghost of Gabe Rosado. Fox turned into Rosado in that moment. That's what it seemed like. But Melikuziev handled business. He fought those demons. He fought that ghost. He fought through it, and he stopped him. And he's going to continue to get his confidence back. And I think he's going to go places, but just slow your roll when you're talking about Canelo. So congrats to Melikuziev, and on to the next. Now, one thing that I saw on X this weekend was Alicia Baumgardner and Caroline Dubois sharing words like, yeah, I would like to share the ring with you. So Caroline Dubois came out first and was talking about, because she was responding to a post of Alicia Baumgardner, saying that she would like to challenge Braekhus at 147 or 154. And then Caroline Dubois said, I want to fight you, champ. And then I was surprised, but Baumgardner was like, let's do it. But that's Baumgardner. She wants to smoke with anybody. Anybody that's going to come first, she's like, I'm with it. She's with it. So I'm not surprised by that response. But have y'all seen Caroline Dubois? Caroline Dubois is the real deal. If you haven't watched her, I know those boxer cards, especially if you're in America, they can be a little more difficult to get a hold of, to watch. And if you don't want to spend additional money on a Fight TV or where you can watch it or something like that, I understand. Or because sometimes Top Rank, ESPN, they won't have the boxer cards. They used to have them a little bit more frequently, but now it's not so much. So it's hard to see those fighters. They're on the boxer cards, like Adam Azim, who's another good fighter that they have. But Caroline Dubois, if you get a chance to watch her, you need to watch her. She is a tremendous fighter, southpaw, and she's going to be tough to beat. And she's only going to get better. But she's got to find how she's going to raise her profile, how she's going to get into those bigger fights, because she's at lightweight. So you got Rhiannon Dixon that's there. You got Dubois that's there. And Dubois, she might be, as soon as Katie Taylor's out the door, I think she's next up. But how long will she stay at lightweight? And can she stay at lightweight long enough to really reign and rule over that division? So we'll see what happens with that. But let's put everything on pause with Alicia Baumgardner until she clears her name. Champ, focus on clearing your name before you talking about fighting fights. That's where I want her energy focused. I always love seeing her energy, don't get me wrong, because she feels like she's been wronged here. So like Conor Ben felt like he was wrong, and he was out there talking and stuff like that, and fans said whatever they want to say because fans will be fans. So I understand that. If you think you're innocent, then you're just going to be out here doing whatever you want to do because you didn't do nothing wrong. You know what I'm saying? So I understand that, but I just want her to I hope that situation doesn't drag out like this Conor Ben situation did, because I need to see Alicia Baumgardner back in the ring, man. She's exciting. She's great for the sport, and hopefully that can get resolved soon. And Caroline Dubois fight might not be too far in the future, because Dubois being at lightweight, Baumgardner at super featherweight, she moves up to lightweight, we could see it. But on different platforms, different promotions, it's unlikely. If Katie Taylor can somehow defeat Chantel Cameron, which I don't think is going to happen, but if she does, Baumgardner versus Katie Taylor. But they'll probably go Taylor Serrano. But after that, you never know. So, but first of all, Baumgardner, clear your name. Clear your name. That's what I want. But that's all I have for this one. I'll catch y'all on the next one. As I always say, thank you guys for tuning in. There's plenty of channels out there, and you should be checking them out. There's lots of boxing flavor out there. I'm just one of them. So I appreciate you getting a little bit of that seasoning today, and I'll catch y'all on the next one. Peace.